Today we're going to continue using the area model and partial products. But this time we're going to take this a step further and multiply mixed numbers using the area model and partial products. So let's read the directions before we begin. Use the rectangle to make an area model. Label the sides. The model in problem 1 has been started for you. Find and list the partial products. Label the partial products in the area model. Add the partial products to find your answer. You may need to rename the fractions with a common denominator. So just like how when we separated our numbers into the place values, we're going to, if we have a mixed number, we're going to separate the whole number and the fraction. So if we look at our area model here, we have the 4 separated and the 3, 8 separated, and you draw this line to show that you're separating them into 2 separate numbers, and this is where the answer to the partial products is going to be. So you're going to multiply the 5 times the 4 and the 3/8 times the 5. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to do 4 times 5, that's equal to 20. I'm going to put my partial product over here as I go. So I did 4 times 5, that's equal to 20. And then 5 thirds times 3/8. I'm going to actually put this here first. Just a reminder, when we're multiplying a whole number by a fraction, you can pretend here. You can write this down or don't. I'll accept either. There is always an invisible 1 under this 5. So we can. Represents 5 as a fraction, so 5 over 1. So first I'm going to multiply 5 times 3. That's 15. And we just keep the denominator as is, or we're multiplying that invisible 1 by the 8. So 15/8. So I get 15/8 is my other partial product. Then all you have to do, you have your whole number and your fraction. This is an improper fraction. You can, for right now in 5th grade, they're going to let you leave it as is, but you can actually make it into a proper fraction, which I'll show you how to do in just a minute. So your answer is just going to be 20 and 15/8. You don't have to add the 15/8 to the 20. You can just put them together to make them a mixed number. But let's say here that you want to challenge yourself, and actually I think I'm going to make a new page here really quick. So if I have 20 and 15/8, let's say I don't want to write it as an improper fraction. I want to put it in a proper mixed number form. All you have to do, remember, a fraction is just a division problem. 15/8 is just the same as saying 15 divided into 8 parts. So my 8 goes on my outside of the division problem, and 15 goes inside. So how many times does 8 go into 15 without going over? That's 1 time. Oh, sorry, not 18. Let me erase that for you. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Oops. There we go. Okay. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Well, why? Okay, there we go. All right, sorry about that. So 8 goes in 15 once without going over. 15 minus 8 is 7. So I know 8 can't go into 7 because it's bigger. So now what I do, if you remember, I take my remainder, that becomes my fraction's new numerator, and then my divisor, or the number outside the house, becomes my denominator. So then my problem becomes 20 plus 1 and 7/8. I add the 2 whole numbers together, and I get 21 and 7/8. So just a reminder here, 21 and 7/8 and 20 and 15/8, they're equal or the same. They represent the same value. They're just written in different ways. Okay, Let's go on here to the next problem. Okay, so now we're going to actually make our own area model. So we have 2 3/5 times 3 1/3. So I know right from the get-go, I have to break up both of these. So on one side, there's going to be 2 3/5. I know automatically that's going to be, you draw a line to represent each number you split. So you have a 2 and a 3, so that's one line, and that's going to give you two separate boxes. So there's two sides, one for this number, one for this number. And then you have 3 1/3. So I know I'm going to have to split the number again, split the box again in half, because we're going to be multiplying the 3 and the 1/3 separately. Okay, so first let's start with the 3. We're going to start with the top box and the bottom box and go from there. First we have 3 times 2. That equals 6. So I'm just going to help myself keep track. I have 3 times 2. That's equal to 6. And then 3 times 3/5. That's going to be equal to 3 times 3 is 9. And remember, we leave the denominator alone. So that's 9/5. And then we have, let me put my partial product here. And then we have 1/3 times 2. That's 2/3. And then we have 1/3 times 1/5. Now this is important to remember. You multiply straight across. So let me write this out here. So we have 3/5 times 1/3. That's going to be equal to, we multiply the 3 by the 3. We get 3. I'll put my 3 here too. We multiply the 5 by the 3. We get 15. And we get 3/15. Now, this is where we're going to have to, I think I'm going to go over and do it on a separate sheet here. So we're going to have 2/3, 3/15, and 9/5. So what I'm going to switch over to a blank screen, okay? And I'm going to write these numbers out. I'm going to have to add all these together. And I'm going to have to find a common denominator. So let's go here. Let's make a new drawing. Okay, so my numbers were 2/3, 9/5, and 3/15. Okay, so I'm going to have to find a common denominator for all these fractions. Well, I know right away by looking at this that 3 times 5 equals 15. If you look right here, we already have a denominator that's equal to 15. So I'm not going to change this fraction. This fraction is already set to go. A good trick is to look at your biggest denominator and see if you can multiply any of your smaller denominators to match that number. So I'm going to put 3/15 down here, and let's change 2/3. So in order to change 2/3 into 15ths, I have to multiply 2/3 by 5. Now, I multiply 2/3, and I multiply the bottom by the denominator, or the bottom, by 5. And remember what we always say, what you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. So both the 2 and the 3 are going to be multiplied by 5 to get 10/15. Oops. Sorry, it's ugly. But now we have 3/5 plus 10/15. And why don't, just from stopping our numbers from getting too big, why don't we just add these right together right here? And we're going to get 13/15. Now, we can't forget about the 9/5. So we're going to go ahead. We have 9/5 now. I know that I have to multiply 5 by 3 to get 15. Okay? So remember, I'm going to write 9/5 here. I know I have to multiply the denominator by 3 to get, the denominator by 3 to get 15. But whatever I do to the denominator, I must do to the numerator. Whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. So I get 27. 9 times 3 is 27 fifteenths, because 5 times 3 equals 15. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add 27 fifteenths to 13 fifteenths, and I'll pick this space up here. So 27 fifteenths plus 13 fifteenths. And I'm going to go ahead and add those together. And I'm going to get 13 plus 27 is equal to, and actually let's just do this here. We're going to make sure, because this is what I want you guys to do. I'm going to add 27 and 13 together stacked. So I have 27, or 7 plus 3 is 10. And 1 plus, or 2 plus 1 is 3, plus the carried 1 is 4. And I get 40 fifteenths. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we are going to add these. We're going to take this and go back to our number. Okay, and we have 6 and 40 fifteenths. Let's go ahead actually and simplify that. So we have 6 and 40 fifteenths. I'm actually going to go back here. Oh, not 60. 6 and 40 fifteenths. Okay, so we're doing the same thing here. We're dividing the numerator by the denominator, because that's all a fraction is. So I know that 15 is going to go into 40 2 times without going over, because 2 times 15 is 30. If I multiply 3 times 15, I would get 45. I subtract and I get 10. I know that I cannot I can't divide any more because 15 is greater than 10. So I bring up my remainder. That becomes my numerator. And my divisor becomes my new denominator. Or sorry, my divisor becomes my denominator. So 40 fifteenths, if we make that into a mixed number, that becomes 6 and 4, that becomes 2 and 10 fifteenths. All I have to do now is just add my two whole numbers together, and I get 8 and 10 fifteenths. Okay, let's go back here. So I know that 2 and 3/5 times 3 and 1/3 is 8 and 10 fifteenths. All right. The rest I want you to do all by yourselves, but I hope that you found this video helpful.